I want to give a message, right? I have a little business to take care of before I get to my message, but I promise you all it takes is a connecting sentence and it really works. But when I became a minister for spiritual reasons. I love the spiritual path. I love what unity teaches and how it empowers us. I love all that. But then I became a minister and found out that most of ministry is administrative and you're running a non-profit corporation, so it's mostly doing business all week. And that happened to me a week or so ago. Our insurance company contacted me, and insurance companies all over the country now with all churches are asking that all churches have a security team and a plan, for security. That's sort of the nature of the beast right now in the world. Well, in Unity, we do not do things from a place of fear. So instead of calling it a security team, I'm calling it a guardian angel team. Sounds like a lot more fun, doesn't it? And that just means that different people on the team will take turns being in the back of church every Sunday and just, being there in case there be any kind of a disturbance or people need medical assistance or whatever. They know who to call and who to enlist for help and what to do. So remember, as we form this, it's only filling a need for our insurance company. I don't think I've ever felt safer anywhere than I have in Green Valley. I've never felt safer anyway, but we are asking for volunteers to serve one Sunday, maybe every 6 to 8 weeks, depending on how many people join. And I will be having training, not this Monday, but next Monday, the 29th, at 4 p.m. And even after the training, if you decide you want to or not want to be on the team, you have that choice. There is a sign-up sheet already on the bulletin board with a big angel on it, and there's already 4 men signed up. Women can sign up too, so just something to think about. But it fits well with what we were talking about this week at class, because the topic came up, how to reconcile our spiritual beliefs that we're one with God. What is there to fear? How do we reconcile that with now having to set up a security team? It seems like the opposite. But the big thing is that we do what we do with the Christ consciousness. So I'd like to begin, repeat after me. In our oneness with God, we are safe. Together?
In our oneness with God, we are safe.
And this team is just a visual manifestation about that. This week in class, during the week on Tuesday, the question came up, how can we feel safe in a world where so many things are happening right now? How can we feel safe? And most people there wanted me to say, let's get rid of a few politicians. And while I join you in that wish, unfortunately it would be a temporary fix, because if you don't heal the consciousness that created it, getting rid of one will just mean they'll be replaced by another or something worse. You have to heal the consciousness that created where we are in the world right now. And what triggered this discussion was the event that came up. You've all heard the story of the Hawaiians who had a message come, a warning, just like a fire alarm or a tornado warning that we would have. They had a warning, and it was this. It was sent because of the Korean threat, that the ballistic missile threat inbound to Hawaii, seek immediate shelter. This is not a drill. And this is what the Hawaiians heard as this alarm went off and the message came over. And they were told, because they'd been practicing for this, that when that alarm went off, they only had 15 minutes before it hit. And if you remember when you were a child in grade school, how we used to practice hiding under the desk, as if that would do any good in a nuclear attack. And so here these people thought it was real because it said this is not a drill. And some of them had children on both sides of the island. Where were they going to run to this child or that child? And it was very traumatic for them. And so the question came up again in class, how do we reconcile what we believe with that? And the big thing is staying out of fear. I remember back, you're probably getting tired of Michael and I talking about our Maui trip, but when I finally achieved my lifelong dream, right when I was booking with my travel agent, the first threat from Korea came that Hawaii was going to be where they would bomb, because that's as far as their bomb would go and they could hit Hawaii. And I thought, oh, is this such a good idea of planning this trip. Right when, and then I immediately knew I had to shift out of fear and say, no way, I am one with God. I'm getting this prompting to go there. If I'm one with God, wherever I am, God is, right? And so I booked the trip anyway, and we had a wonderful trip, and we didn't walk around waiting for a bomb to hit us. So the first thing was my decision not to allow fear to affect my actions, not to allow fear to rule my dream, because we are collectively dreaming this dream on this planet. The choice of faith or fear is a choice we make in every moment. Doesn't mean we sit around and don't do anything. It means we make our choice either with faith, which affects a higher energy, or fear, which gets us into the appearances of a lower energy. And so every minute, there's a wonderful scripture, and I felt we could repeat it together as a prayer. I'll say it first. There is a power in me that is so much greater than anything or anyone in the world. Together, there is a power in me that is greater than anyone or anything in the world. All right, I like that. It makes me feel good, because sometimes when we're listening to the news or watching world events, I feel like Chicken Little, whose acorn hit him on the head, and he ran around saying, the sky is falling, the sky is falling. Feels that way some days. But if we feed it with fear, we make it real, we give power to it. If we face it with faith, I'm one with God, then we go to the higher creative power with a different outcome, because it's from a higher place, and we are guided in every moment what to say and do in every moment. So the power of our response determines our individual experience. By the power of our response, faith or fear. I'm not saying don't take any action, but are you taking it from faith or fear? Last week, when I was talking about the Holy Grail, I went to that website, Chivalry Now, and I want to repeat something. I read it last week, but it was just sort of a sideline. By searching for what is true in every moment, we're not dissuaded from what is false. By searching for what is true. So in this illusionary dream we're dreaming, and all the appearances, what is the truth? The truth is that I'm one with God. The truth is we're all divine. The truth is we can rise above this, rather than getting caught into the deception of fear and separation. I think Walt Whitman said it best. He said, dismiss what insults your soul. Don't you like that? Just dismiss what insults your soul. And right now there's a lot that's insulting my soul. And I can laugh at that and say it's all happening out there, but where do we have to look first? What's in my mind that's insulting me? Oh my God, bless me, Father, for I've sinned. What's in my mind? What goes through my head sometimes? Toxic energy, fear, hate, negativity, unforgiveness, resentment, you name it. Does that not cross our minds at times? It insults our soul. It keeps us imprisoned in the dream of fear. And there's a great scripture, one of my favorites, about Peter when he was in prison. He was put in prison by Herod. And he was in chains. Herod wanted to make sure he wasn't going anywhere. So here was Peter. And his friends, it says in the scripture, his friends were praying earnestly as opposed to praying not earnestly. I'm not sure what that means. But while they were praying, an angel came to Peter. And he shook him awake and he said, follow me. And the chains fell off of Peter and they just walked right by the guards out of the prison. Wow, what a great story, isn't it? Now you know that there has to be more to that story than just a literal, this happened back then. This is a great metaphysical story of what is going on in our consciousness in every moment. Because Herod represents metaphysically our ego mind that has imprisoned our faith, that has imprisoned us. And we're in chains of the fear around us. And then an angel comes, which angels represent divine ideas filling our consciousness with the truth that frees us and shows us the way. The truth of our union with God. The Course in Miracles once said, It is written, it is written, I love that line. We've given to the world the role of jailer to the Son of God. What could it be but vicious and afraid, fearful of shadows, primitive and wild, lacking all reason, blind and sad and sad? Deny your own identity. This remains, you are as God created you. All else but this one thing is folly to believe. This is the one thought. Everything is free. In this one truth are all the other illusions gone. So to be safe in this dream, we just have to hold to that one truth. We're united with God, and all the power of the Christ is in us. You know, the 12-hour meditation that we do on Christmas Eve, we all get together and light a few candles for the 12 hours. That's not just a fun, isn't this sweet kind of thing. It's true, it works, it's power, and the power is in us to choose to live with faith or with fear. You know, Mahatma Gandhi, Martin Luther King, they took action, but they took it with faith. They saw a vision of a higher world, a better world. They didn't take action from fear. We can't let the facts get in the way. That's one of my favorite. Don't let the facts get in the way of what's happening out there. And I know I've shared this with you before, but it fits so well again today. Where a time in my life, as an example of what I couldn't let facts get in the way, I wanted to go see my son. You know, they live in California, and my sister and I, her son is a pilot with United, so he got us some standby tickets. This was back when it was a little bit easier to fly standby than it is now. But still, we arrived at the airport. I was all gung-ho to go see my son. And we get there ready to board. And as soon as we get to the gate, she says, well, we are overbooked. We are so overbooked, there's not too much of a chance that you're going to get on. And I looked at my sister because she was ready to walk away. I said, God is present. And we sat down and waited. And more people started going. More and more people came in. And I kept looking at Irene and I said, God is present. And pretty soon they did the announcements. Well, we're asking for volunteers to give up your tickets because we're overbooked. And I just looked at my sister and said, God is present. She was about to tell me what to do with that God is present. Because as we sat there, more and more people were coming in and boarding this plane. And just before it seemed like everybody was on board, they called my name. Now, my sister and I had agreed we might get split up, and because it was my son we were going to see, she said, you take the first flight, I'll catch another one. But as I turned to get on the plane, because they said I could go on, I looked at her and said, God is present. And she was about to tell me what to do. And I'm sitting on the plane, and the stewardess is just ready to shut the door. And just as they're getting ready to shut the door, in comes my sister. Now, my point is in this story, don't let the facts get in the way. We can't give power to what's going on out there. We have to give power to our faith of a higher outcome, a higher reality. And Charles Fillmore said it so well in his book, Dynamics for Living. He said, the man, or I will add, or woman, who is grounded in faith does not measure his thoughts or his acts by the world's standard of facts. Don't let the facts get in the way. Those who are in spiritual understanding know that faith has open eyes. Certain things do exist in spirit and become substantial and real to the one who dwells and thinks and lives in faith. And the chains fall off, and we are free in faith. The Reverend Eric Butterworth, in his book, Concentric Perspective, talked about how we live from the inside out. It's all happening from the inside out. As we see it, as we envision it, our faith creates our world. And we take actions from faith, we create a higher world. When we take actions from fear, we create a lower world. And luckily for me, especially, it only takes faith the size of a mustard seed. Because sometimes, especially if I watch the news, my faith starts to get small. And just that little bit of faith, the size of a mustard seed. Jesus said, if you have faith as a grain of mustard seed, you shall say to this mountain, remove hence to yonder place, and it shall be removed, and nothing will be impossible to you. Now that is not talking about physical mountains. The Santa Ritas are beautiful. We don't want to move those mountains. I just assume they stay where they are. I like looking at them. Anybody here have a mountain of difficulties? Anybody have had a mountain of pain and suffering, of sadness and sorrow? That's what we say. Be removed. I have faith. I see a higher world. I see a higher vision. But there are 3 steps to that process. And the first step is releasing all fear. Second one is trusting in the divine presence right here, right now. And then faith sets in motion a higher outcome. And then take action from that faith and the guidance that comes from that centered knowing that you are one with God. Now the last illusion of fear is death itself. The last illusion of fear. And that's why fear of an atomic bomb right now is touching people so deeply, because that's the last illusion of fear to be overcome. And Jesus came to prove it. Went through the crucifixion and the resurrection to prove that life cannot be destroyed. Oh, they can destroy a body. They can do something with this body. But they can't destroy me. My higher self, my real self, the truth of my being lives on eternally. The Course in Miracles reads, the resurrection is the denial of death, being the assertion of life. This is all the thinking of the world reversed entirely. End of fear-based illusions. No more need for attacking or defending. No need for fear or judgment. No need for fear-based illusions. The last illusion spreads across the world, forgiving all things and replacing all attack. There is no opposition to truth. The Son of God is free. And in this freedom is the end of fear. Let us take that into prayer. God, we are willing to believe and have faith in the higher power. There is a power in us, we know, that is so much greater than that which is in the world. And we choose our faith to create a higher world of light and love, of wholeness and strength, of wisdom and guidance. And we send it out into the world, awakening every heart and mind to the truth of our oneness with God, our oneness with each other, and our oneness with all life. Thank you, Father, Mother God, in the nature of the Christ, and so it is. Amen.
Please join us in singing.